What is going on, guys? Datcoopguy here, and today we're going to be actually doing a special video where we're going to be talking about what is the best build to do for your main character. This is going to be more focused on the custom background and possibly maybe the Dark Urge if you decide to go that route as well. But mainly we're going to be discussing custom characters and trying to figure out what is the best way to play it. Personally, this is going to be based off of my opinion. It is not, in fact, the only way to play, but it is a way to kind of get the most out of your character and the most of getting out of different situations. Now, the first thing that we have to discuss when making a character is one, class and what exactly stat-wise you are looking for with your character. You obviously want them to be good fighter or caster, depending on which role they're doing. So that part isn't really as important, as all the classes have some different things that you can do with them. But the big thing is mainly the talking and RP, and also awareness to give you as much information while continuing on with your campaign. And there are three stats that you're mainly going to be looking at. Either your strength, dex, or intelligence, or whatever your casting modifier is. You're going to be looking for wisdom, as this will give you more awareness of perception to be able to find hidden levers and latches and other different things as well, and also be allowed to use your illithid powers. And on top of it is charisma. Charisma seems to be very cracked, honestly, where there's lots of times you can do persuasion or deception to get yourself out of things. You can also, there's certain puzzles that require you to have to stealth and pickpocket people, and having it to where you have persuasion and deception is like another way of also getting out of it if you happen to get caught, if you're a not sneaky character. So it definitely seems like you at least want to have somewhat of some charisma when dealing with stuff, a little bit of wisdom as well to pass some of these checks and to get into the illithid system, but also want to make it to where you're combat good as well. So we're going to actually be diving into a variety of different classes that I think are really good for if you decide that you want to play this as your main character, while also keeping it unique with, obviously, you have a lot of other people that already have classes of their own, so it makes it to where you're not double dipping as much. The first one that I have to recommend is the Paladin. The Paladin has a variety of skills that makes it to where it's very strong, and the big thing is that its main modifier for its spellcasting is charisma, making it to where they're really good in the face of the party and talking, but they also have heavy armor and things out there to make it to where they have it to where they are very shieldy, they have lots of health, and they can take lots of damage. It just overall makes it to where they have a really good toolkit for kind of helping out in all different situations. They can heal, they can buff, they can tank, they can do damage. They do it all. And that's why I really like them as a character. And they also have a few different oaths that have unique things out there. But there's also a hidden oath of the Oathbreaker if you decide that you really don't want to keep following so tightly with that. If you were to go with any of the oaths, though, in the beginning, I would suggest the one of Vengeance, as Vengeance has lots of really cool abilities that make it to where you can really kind of stun lock some different people. So that's one that I would recommend. If you decide to go into Paladin, you could choose that, and then race-wise, there's a few different races you can go with. I always like Tiefling because they get resistance. Dragonborn's not a bad one as well, and you can also go with the classic half-orc, which has it to where if they're down, they come right back up. Another one that is really interesting if you're looking to get more into the caster side is the sorcerer. Now, why do I recommend the sorcerer and not the warlock? Because warlock also is a charisma-based caster as well. Well, the sorcerer has this thing called meta magic, which allows it later on to do really powerful twists to their spells, which can make it to where they are able to maybe make the distant spell, where they're able to make like a spell go farther than it normally wouldn't. They're able to do twin spell, where they're able to attack two targets at once with one spell. There's a lot of different combinations with it, and it just overall has a really good vibe to it, with having a lot of these different options and things out there to make it to where, as a spellcaster, it's powerful. But also on top of it, they're able to talk to people, meta magic is powerful, and it's a spellcaster alternative to where if you want to be going more of that route, makes it easier, and also none of the main characters are sorcerers. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, the next class that I also recommend is the good old cleric. Now, I know what you're saying. There's already a cleric in the group with Shadowheart. Shadowheart's cleric is probably my least favorite cleric of the bunch, so I wouldn't recommend them personally. The ones that you're going to be looking at is either the life or the war domain. You can also go with the light as well, but I personally like the life and the war domain as they have special unique features that make it to where they're really powerful. One of them is War Priest. Anytime that you make a unarmed or a weapon attack, you can use a charge to make it to where you do an additional attack as a bonus action, making it to where you can just do some multiple different attacks. You also have it with the life domain where you can make it to where you do some crazy healing as well. The other thing that is important with them is that they have high wisdom, which allows them to have a high perception already flat out, making it to where also you can get into the Illithid tree and have a really good time with it. They're able to do heals and buffs, and the light domain, if you decide to go that route, has some really powerful AoE based abilities and damage spells that they can do, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But also it makes it to where you're not required to have Shadowheart. See, the big issue with a lot of the origin characters is, well, Shadowheart's the only healer character. Will can only heal himself after he kills things. Karlach is a barbarian. Lysel's a warrior. Astarion's a thief. And Gale, well, he's a wizard. So it's pretty much up to you to be able to heal a lot of these characters with Shadowheart. So this just gives you an alternative if you're kind of tired of having her in your party. So that's kind of my 3 classes that I recommend for any people that are wanting to sort of make their own main character when first jumping into Baldur's Gate. They're also incredibly beginner friendly, especially with the cleric and the paladin, as they have a lot of self heals and they wear a lot of heavier armor, especially with the life domain cleric and war domain cleric, and paladin with their heals and different smites that they can do. Because I think one of the big things is when you're jumping into a character, you want to be able to have as much information as possible, to do as many different things as well, and to just overall have the full gaming experience, which these 3 classes will do for you and do quite well. Anyways, I don't want to rant too much, but this is just my opinion of some classes that you guys can try out. Tell me in the comments below some of your favorite classes that you've been trying, or how your first character is rolling out. But I just wanted to give my opinion, help somebody out, push them in the right direction if they're having a hard time deciding. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. I just wanted to let everybody know that we have a new official Datcoopguy server. So if you guys ever want to jump in, maybe play some games with me, run some nightmare dungeons, don't be afraid to jump into the server. We have a good, nice little community that has been slowly joining as time goes on, and we have a variety of other different games such as World of Warcraft, we have the good old Diablo, tons of guides and screenshots, and Final Fantasy, and of course IRL chat. So you guys are always welcome to jump on in and join in the fray and hang out with the community. With the recent growth of the channel, I decided that I needed to update my merch store. So we still have the classic OG logo here if you guys ever want to check that out, and also some of our summer wear. But on top of that, I decided that I wanted to give back to the community, especially with recently hitting 3,000 subs and almost up to 4,000. So I hired a professional artist to make us a new logo for a good graphic tee. So we now have the Cult of Cthulhu merch. You guys can check that out. There's also, if you use the code CULT, you can get 10% off of your order.